with this. Yeah. Remember that show? You know what that reminds me with your shirt?
What?
What was the name of I had it. Hee-Haw. Hee-Haw.
Hee-Haw.
Remember Hee-Haw? That was a
Hee-Haw, sure,
that was,
funny
believe
show.
it or not, everybody they thought it was a joke, right? Remember Hee-Haw?
Yeah.
Joe?
You remember?
No, did you remember any of the jokes?
What's it called? You remember Hee-Haw?
Yeah, but what?
Where, oh, where are you tonight? Why did you leave me here all alone with 3 hungry children?
You
Remember that song?
No.
You don't remember that song? They did every week.
I picked the 5 times to leave me loose
No.
wheel?
No, that's the guy who lost the wheel on the wagon.
Oh.
He picked the 5 times.
Did you just Sal Cotticelli, the punch?
Sal, yeah, Sal, we're gonna get to him, but there's no there's no wall up in the front. But he's got the trophies. Those trophies. How much did you get for the
Enough.
Yeah? You got third prize, right? On one
2 seconds.
2 seconds? What happened? You didn't have a long enough nose?
Long enough.
You didn't have a long enough the horse race. You didn't have Porky, I'm taking your show. Comedy. Joe, don't
I'm
you
just saying,
start.
no, I'm just being in the
Don't you
background.
start.
Hey, did I ever tell you about $10,000?
No.
Guy and a woman, they get married.
Yeah.
All the husband asks is the wife, never look in the trunk of the car.
Why?
Never look in the trunk of the car. They're married for 40 years. After 40 years, he can't stand it anymore. She's got to look in the trunk of the car. So she gets his keys, goes down to the garage, opens up the trunk. She finds $10,000 in 3 ears of corn. Now she's feeling guilty. So she goes to the husband, she goes, you know, we've been married for 40 years. The only thing you ever asked me was never look in the trunk of the car. She goes, I couldn't help it. Today I looked in the trunk of the car. He goes, I told you, never look in the trunk of the car. Never look in the trunk of the car. I go, what are you getting mad about? All you got is $10,000 and 3 ears of corn. He goes, well, I'll tell you the truth. Every time I was unfaithful to you, I put an ear of corn in the trunk. She goes, we married for 40 years, unfaithful 3 times. That's okay. He goes, every time I got a bushel, I sold it.
Every time you got a bushel.
He sold it.
You got that?
Yes,
Yeah.
of course. Of course.
Porky, you got to have a joke.
Well,
a joke.
I want to tell you about, I was
us a
born
good
and raised in East Harlem.
Yeah.
And we had the club up the block, the wise guys, hung out, everything else. And one of the guys that came around, he moved on the block. He was there, I'd say, about 2 months. And he got friendly with a couple of the guys. And he says, you know, I would like to get to know you guys. He says, you know, get in with you guys. He said, I like meeting you and stuff.
Yeah.
So the guy says, yeah, that's okay. You know, we'll get it.
Right.
So one day he says to one of his friends that he got close with, this guy Joey, he says, Joey, this guy Artie is his name. And Artie says to Joey, you think I could meet some of your friends? He says, well, you know what? Here's what I'll do, Artie. I'll bring you to the club. I'll introduce you to some of the guys. So he brings Artie to the club. He introduces him to some of the guys. He says, how about the big guy? I'd like to meet the big guy, you know? He said, listen, you know, it's not that easy. You know, it doesn't work that way. You got to get to know everybody. He said, let me go in the back and talk to the guy. He goes in the back. The guy says, yeah, bring him in. So he brings him in and says, this is Artie. He's a friend of mine. He says, okay, this is so-and-so. Pleased to meet you. He says, you know, I would love to get in with you guys. He says, you know, I'm that way. I admire you and everything else. He says, well, you know what? He says, you don't just get in and be part of us like that. You got to make your bones, you know what I mean? You got to do certain things. He says, like what? He says, I'll do anything, you know, just to get in your good grace. He says, all right, here's what I do. I'll tell you what I got. I got 3 guys I need whacked. He said, but it's got to be done a certain way. He says, sure, anything. He says, as long as I can get in with you guys. He says, all right, listen, there's 3 guys. They each got to be choked. 1 guy got to be choked each week. So Artie says, yeah, whatever. So the boss says to him, how much you want to do the job? He says, I don't want nothing. I just want to get in your good grace. I want to be with you guys. The boss said, I'll tell you what I do. I'll give you $1 just to make it that I gave you. Whatever you say. So the first week goes by. 1 guy turns up dead, choked to death. Second week goes by. 2nd guy turns out choked to death. 3rd week goes by. 3rd guy shows up choked to death. But the police were watching him. They had the whole thing on camera. They grab him, they lock Artie up and everything else. Next day, you seen the headlines. Artie chokes, $3 for $1.